Start out with a little talent and time for lessons. Add a father who's able to gratify your every whim, and you're likely to turn out to be pretty good at tennis, like Chan Harrington III. You might even make a tournament golfer. He did. He wasn't bad at polo either. From horses to horsepower isn't a long jump. He made it. When the slopes were covered with snow, Chan knew what to do about them. Skis work in water, too. Chan's father saw to it that his son knew how to handle them. So it wasn't surprising when Chan Harrington III heard about skin diving that father should gratify this urge as well as the others. He hired me to teach the young man how to get along in the underwater world. For the moment, all was serene down here among these magnificent coral formations. I had found Chan to be a strong-headed, willful, arrogant student. I didn't like it. But the beauty of our surroundings had had its effect, and we were enjoying an interval of peaceful coexistence. Now, when I signaled to him that it was time to go upstairs, he decided to argue about it. He had plenty of air left, and he didn't see any reason not to use it. To say the least, I didn't agree with him. He was going up. I grabbed his belt and pulled the release valve on his inflatable rescue pack. That had taken topside all by itself. To speed him on his way, though, I yanked the release on his weight belt, too. Watching him on his way up, I saw that he was holding his breath. He wasn't exhaling the high-pressure air in his lungs as he should have. Apparently, he was determined not to obey the rules of survival either. It was up to me to make him. I caught up with him just in time. I pushed his stomach hard. That did it. He had to exhale.
What are you trying to do, kill me?
Trying to keep you from killing yourself.
Punching me in the stomach?
It was the only way I could make you breathe in a hurry. Air embolism. You remember me telling you about that?
Oh, yeah.
Chad, honey, are you all right?
Sure, Jenny, I'm okay, Doc. I am, aren't I?
Yeah, through no fault of your own.
I forgot, Teach. Don't hang me for just one mistake.
Just one. Every time you go down, you make a mistake.
I do?
Yeah, you do.
How?
By not obeying orders, for one thing. This time you didn't come up when I signaled you.
I'm sorry, Teach. I'll try harder the next time.
Now, don't bother, because there won't be any next time. I'm not going to be your teach anymore. Tell your father I quit.
I'll have my old man send you a check.
You do, and I'll shove it down your throat.
WM2050, Mike Nelson. This is Coast Guard Radio. Emergency, over. WM2050, Mike Nelson. This is Coast Guard Radio. Emergency, over. That's right, Mike. About 12 miles north-northwest. Get your chart, and I'll give you their exact position. 117 degrees, 49 minutes, 5 seconds west. 32 degrees.
The Coast Guard did have an emergency for me, all right. Radioactive type. Some oceanographers had hit a submerged log. Their ship wasn't sinking, but they'd lost deck cargo overboard. Hot cargo. 2 lead insulated cylinders full of radioactive poison. Concentrated phosphorus pouring into the inshore fishing grounds. And I was the only diver nearby.
I won't be able to take you in right now. The Coast Guard wants me to dive for a couple of lost tanks. They'll notify you folks.
Sounds like fun.
Can I help you, Mike?
Yeah, by staying out of my way.
You should have thanked him. He did save your life.
He says it was his fault for pushing me around down there.
He might have had a reason for wanting to come up, Chan.
You're taking his side? I wanted to stay. Well, Jimmy, you get carried away down there. It's a different world. You lose track of time.
When I came up to them, the oceanographers I was supposed to help were anchored in 50 feet of water. I thought it best to give them some sea room, so I dropped anchor about 20 yards off. The 2 scientists rowed over and came aboard.
Mr. Nelson, I'm Dr. Wilmer.
Dr. Wilmer?
My assistant, Mr. Hendricks.
Hello, Hendricks.
Mr. Nelson.
Nice to meet you.
The lost cylinders are exactly like those.
Yeah, how hot are they, Dr. Wilmer?
Hot? Oh, you mean radioactive?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they contain radioactive phosphorus. Its half-life is 14.2 days. After that, it...
Well, that's long enough time to cause plenty of damage, huh?
Yes, it's a concentrated solution of organic phosphate. It could poison fish and anyone who eats it.
Oh, our plan was quite safe, barring accidents, of course.
Oh, how do you mean?
Well, we plan to dilute it heavily, then release small amounts in mid-ocean as radioactive tracer.
Well, what was your purpose? To tag the currents?
Only as a means of studying the feeding habits of deep-sea life.
Well, in that case, I better get down and before they start feeding here, huh? What's the radiation in the water, you know?
Well, I tested it. It's not very high on the surface, but it's growing.
Uh-huh.
Now, the tanks are right down there, and they're leaking.
Hey, you dive. Have you been out looking for them?
Dr. Wilmer wouldn't permit it.
Of course not. This isn't like studying crustacea under the Institute Pier.
Well, it's only 50 feet. I've checked out that deep with Navy divers.
Well, in that case, I'd like you to go along with me. How about it, Doctor?
What about your assistants?
Yeah, they're just passengers.
Well, all right.
Get your tank on, huh? We're going to have to use booties and mittens and a hood down there. I got some extra one for you.
Right.
I want a radiation pad, too. You want to fix one of those up for us?
Sure.
Hendricks took along a Geiger counter and a pressurized housing. I carried a magnetic metal detector. In almost no time, he reported a reading on the counter. No doubt about it. The cylinders were leaking their poison into the water. Our exposure patches showed that we weren't getting too much radiation, though. Yet. As we neared the bottom, Hendricks's reading held fairly steady. But I started to pick up definite signals from a metal object. They weren't specific enough to guide us to it. I made a finer adjustment to see if that would do the trick.
I think that takes real courage. Don't you think they're brave, Chan? Chan!
Young man, Mr. Nelson didn't say you could dive.
One side, Dad. The ocean's free.
I was still hoping my magnetic detector would pick up the cylinders. Suddenly, I got a loud signal, but in the wrong direction. I'd picked up a scuba tank. Chan's. I tried to tell Chan to go upstairs. Naturally, he wouldn't obey. but he did indicate that he'd keep out of our way. Hendricks and I decided to split up and try to cover the widest possible area in the shortest possible time. Chan stuck with me. Soon I began getting a sustained signal on my detector, apparently from straight ahead. There it was. One of the 2 radioactive cylinders. Hendricks would know best how to handle it. I rapped on my tank, the signal we had agreed on between us for summoning each other. There was no response. I told Chan in sign language to go find Hendricks and bring him back here. Chan was being a good boy now. He headed out promptly. The cylinder seemed undamaged to me. Even close up like this, my exposure patch didn't show any increase in radioactivity. It had to be the other cylinder. The one that we hadn't found yet. It was leaking so dangerously. Chan came back with Hendricks now. Hendricks checked out the cylinder. I had been right. It wasn't damaged. But the quicker we got it topside, the better. We rigged a buoy arrangement for the trip upstairs.
What's that?
Well, they've located something.
Will they come up now? I hope Chan's not in trouble.
Chan was still behaving, but he was having trouble. He had used up almost all his air searching for Hendricks, and he'd forgotten to cut in his reserve supply. So I did that for him, and then I ordered him upstairs. This time he went, without an argument. Hendricks and I took off to look for the other cylinder, while Chan started for the top. Slowly, thank heaven. I could only hope that he'd also remember to breathe out on the way. The signal on Hendricks' counter got louder. Then we saw it. It was pouring out hot tracer. We saw something else, too. Yellowtail, a very popular food fish. We had to remove that poison from this area. Our first job was to stop that leakage, if we could. The trouble was, I wasn't familiar with this particular type of container. Hendricks started to show me how the valves operated. Trying to move in close, he lost his footing and jarred the heavy cylinder. It lurched loose and smashed down on his arm. The Coast Guard had handed me one emergency. Now Hendricks had given me another. I had to get him free of that deadly cylinder. In doing so, I just about doubled the difficulty of getting the cylinder topside. Now, that was something to worry about later. Hendricks was the immediate problem. His right arm was broken, and he'd been in close contact with the radiation that was still leaking out of the cylinder. He had to be decontaminated. Quickly. So did I. As soon as I could rig a sling for his arm, we started upstairs.
Turn it on now. That right one is the one that's broken. Don't touch me. I'm hot. We got soaked with a tracer.
You have any fresh water?
Yeah, I got a hose.
Hose Mike off, too. I'm going to my boat and get a medical kit and some chemicals. The Coast Guard can take you ashore.
Well, what's the hurry? Let me stick around till the job's finished.
As far as you're concerned, the job is finished. Now, you better go in the cabin and rest till I get here.
Okay.
You better take that suit off, Nelson, so I can decontaminate you.
I'm going back down up the other cylinder.
You can't. The exposure's cumulative.
I didn't get as much radiation as Hendricks did.
Now, look, Nelson.
You don't want me to leave that cylinder down there, do you?
Oh, very well. I'll help you. I've used the scuba some.
Yeah? How much?
Around the Institute Pier.
Well, that cylinder is at least 100 feet down now. I'm afraid this is a job for a younger man, Doctor. Besides, Hendricks might need you, huh?
I guess you're right.
Let me go. I'm a younger man.
No, you're too young. This is no kid's game.
I'm nearly 20.
Well, you don't act it. It's too bad, too. You had the makings of a good diver.
Are you going down there alone?
I have to.
The first rule is never to dive alone. You always said so.
Oh, you remember the rules now, huh?
I'll remember them. It takes two to handle that cylinder.
I don't have time to play nursemaid.
You won't have to. I won't goof off.
It's 100 feet down there. That stuff's radioactive.
I won't chicken out.
Now, you'd have to follow orders. You wouldn't like that.
I'll follow orders.
Well, if you didn't, you could get killed.
Follow orders.
All right, get your gear on.
Okay. Sir.
If Chan felt nervous, he had company. The cylinder we were after this time was really hot, and it was in a rough spot for salvage. Even from a distance, we could see that the cylinder was leaking faster now, pouring out more and more of its deadly radiation into the water. Chan had a fine excuse to quit now. He didn't take it. Maybe because this was the first time in his life that something really important was expected of him. As a matter of fact, Chan was all for pushing right in and grabbing the cylinder regardless of consequences. I stopped him. This was no time for heroics. We had to use our heads. I told him to attach the line to his belt, while I got ready to approach the cylinder in a way that I hoped would give us a chance, at least, to escape fatal exposure. I slipped off my tanks and removed the regulator. For a while, I'd be dependent on Chan's air for breathing. I was going to use my 2,000 pounds of pressure to clear the hot tracer away from the leaking phosphorus tank. I blasted the tracer away. I caught a glimpse of the broken valve. I'd need Chan's help now. He'd have to handle the improvised spray gun while I tried to close the broken valve with a wrench. It didn't work. The valve was jammed open, and we couldn't stay close to it for more than a moment because of the radiation danger. The hot tracer kept on streaming out relentlessly. If we couldn't turn it off, maybe we could plug it up. I cut off a piece of my harness to make a plug. I'd need Chan again to spray the tracer away while I tried to insert it in the valve stem. I didn't know if he could stand the gaff. Under the circumstances, I wasn't so sure that I would. Chan did his part of the job like a pro. Luck was with me, too. The plug worked. I was able to reduce the leak to a slight trickle. Now, all we had to do was get the cylinder out of there.
Nice work, Nelson. I'll get the hose so I can decontaminate you.
Just inside. Thanks to you, Chan. You should be real proud of him, Ginny.
Hey, I'll contaminate you.
I'll take my chances with you, Chan.
I'll take my chances, too. Now. Yeah, that's me. Come over there, boy. I'll give it back to you in a minute. Hi there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is certainly a lot of fun, and it's full of adventure. See some more of it again next week, huh? when there'll be another excursion into that fabulous underwater world of sea hunting.